Well, hey YouTube, it's Katie Two Finger. Um, I wanted to share this story. When I was working, I went to a temporary job service which was called Labor Ready, and I used to go to Labor Ready and typically get a get a job where they would send me out, and then that person that I went out to work for would hire me, and I would work. My experience was that the people that I ran into working for were very difficult to work for. They didn't pay well, or they had temper issues, or they were psychotic or control freaks. I worked for one woman that was very challenging. She was, man, she was a control freak. And I made it, I lasted a significant amount of time. I remember working for this white dude. He was of British descent, and he thought that he was like better than everybody else. He looked down at people, and he had a horrible temper. He was he would come in, and you didn't know it could go either way. And sometimes he would come in like he was never there. He would give you a list of things in the morning and then leave, and then he would come back at the end of the day, and you didn't know which way it was going to go. Was he going to go nuts and yell and scream at you for an hour and a half, or was he going to be nice? And he tried to get me to do stuff with him outside of work, like go to his church and hang out with him and like be. He had all daughters, and my dad. He knew my dad died when I was a kid. My dad had a temper problem, so I really tried to please this guy, and I ended up walking. I ended up walking off the job, quitting. And he was like, "No, you're not. This is my truck. You think you're gonna drive?" And because I was out like 60 miles out, and I said, "No, I'm walking. I'm walking." And I walked to uh, found a Walmart, and then called my wife and had her drive out there and pick me up. And that was that. But I had explained to him that he needed to cut me some slack just for a short period of time, because I had some personal stuff going on that was really scary. And he went absolutely nuts on me. And it was something he had dropped the ball on this account. And we had to drive out and do this rush job thing. But yeah, he was really uh, one of the worst people that I was ever under in my life. And this story where we worked, there was a backside of the place which was like there would be a dumpster, and then the stairwell coming up, and then a door. And it was an industrial park, and it was infested with pigeons. He had a an owl that was made of rainbow tinfoil material, like metal, like, and it had like holograms of rainbow looking things for the eyes. And this was supposed to scare off these pigeons who were roosting. They had made nests up in there, all in our, for some reason, our area where we worked, the like if you were going to walk in, the handrail had like this much poop on it from these things relieving themselves on it. And of course, I cleaned all that off of there, and tried to maintain it, tried to clean it, but all you heard was this these pigeons. And I remember getting mail from the company that had sold him the owl. Maybe two owls hanging up that were supposed to scare off these pigeons. And so I'm looking at this catalog, and on the back page, like the most expensive thing they sold was this system that would play. It was a audio device that had a outdoor horn speaker, and it played audio files of birds of prey, like the sound of an eagle, this type of noises. So when I went home that night, I started thinking about how I would design that. And so eventually, in my efforts to try to win this guy's favor, I brought it up to him one day when he was in a good mood. And I started explaining to him how you could do it on zero budget, meaning, you would recycle everything. And he interrupted me and he said, I trust you. Go ahead and do it, and whatever it costs, I'll pay for it. And he said, if it doesn't work, don't. Neither one of us are going to bring it up or mention it or talk about it. It doesn't matter, because that wouldn't be your fault if it didn't work, So I got a computer power supply. The amplifier I hacked from a really powerful, it was a subwoofer amp from a computer subwoofer setup, something like that. I forget what the amp was. And the 12 volts side of the computer power supply fed the amplifier. The 5 volt side of the computer power supply fed a Discman, and the disc was on repeat, and I short soldered the play button, so when it powered up it would just play, and it was set on repeat setting, and I made one track. I burned the CD and I made this track in my DAW, and I downloaded all of these bird sounds, and specifically birds of prey. So it was like a 55-minute track. And what I did, I had every once in a while there would be there was consistent kind of outdoor noises and birds, peppered with these birds of prey, and I had a donkey in there. And then at the end, at the end of the 55-minute thing, I would have them go nuts, where it was like the animal apocalypse, and I had all these birds of prey going nuts, and I cranked up the levels, and I had echoes and pitch shifting on it. And it was just like the the aviary apocalypse. So I was installing this thing, and I had it running while I was mounting the speaker was an outdoor PA horn, old style PA horn, like a 30-watt thing, And I wired it up into the rafters where actually I think I pointed it right at where they were all nesting in there, and it worked. They all cleared out of there, and they went. The neighboring businesses, when I was hooking it up, when it went into that apocalypse, they all came out. They were all like, "What the fuck's going on?" And they came over, and I was up there on a ladder. They're like, "What are you doing?" Like, it's all good, and they didn't realize it, but all those pigeons that had settled right in our place for some reason, it all scared them off to the adjoining units. They went like 2 units down on both sides where the noise wasn't so intense. So it worked. It didn't get rid of them for the whole place, but it got rid of them where we were. And he was he gave me $20 for it, and he never mentioned it, never said anything about it, but he always ran it. He was always running. And I remember one time at the end of the day, he came in, and for no reason, he went off on me. And he's yelling and screaming at me, pointing his finger, and he's all in my face. And the recording synced up, and it went into the end, the apocalypse. And he's rah, 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 rah. It's hee-haw. The donkey goes off. And I'm like, and it infuriated him. Like he went like nuclear at that point. He was like pacing around the shop, throwing stuff down and all. Rah, rah, rah. And it's yeah, it was so funny. And I remember I ran into that guy. Like like 6 months after the fact. And he approached me and wanted me to come back and work for him. Which I really don't understand that. If you like the way that he made me feel, that I wasn't good enough, you know. And because I told him, I was like, dude, you don't want. I'm not the guy for this job. So it's funny that he that's just the way this guy treats people. I was doing good. I was doing a kick-ass job. So he wanted me to go to these Bible meetings with him and hang out with him and all that, and I refused to do any of that simply because I couldn't stand the guy. And that really may have been a mistake for me. But I know about being in a relationship, being yoked to a person like that. If you're in a situation like that, you need to get out. And just the fact that when I saw him 6 months later, after getting a few more labor ready people, he realized that he should have been a little bit nicer to me. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed that story. Take care of yourselves. Hug your pets. And